Hey everyone, and let's see one more interesting topic in R, the list. Okay, now why list is important? Because they help you to uh, do something that is not possible with vectors. Like in a list, you can store different objects of different types into a uh, single object itself. So in we have seen in vectors, you are not allowed to store different types into one vector. Okay, vectors was automatically getting converted to the base type if you have a multiple objects. Now here you can see I'm trying to create a list. Okay, and it has a different objects altogether, and still your this object will keep their own property as it is. Okay, uh, when we see this objects. So let's jump to R. Okay, and now let's create our first list. So I create a first list. Okay, and now to create a list you have to use the function list, and then you can pass on the values, and then I can pass some text, and okay, as well as I can pass another vector inside this. So now I'm trying to create a vector and one more vector, let's say, uh, which contains true, false. Okay, and now you can see here the list is created with six different objects. So you can see this is the first one, second, third, fourth, and all this vector as a fifth, and then this vector as a sixth. So there are six objects you can see here. Okay, the first one is a numeric 12, numeric 23, then character type text, then logical, then a vector, okay, of type numeric, and then once again a logical type vector which contains true, false, and false. Okay, so this is how you can create a list in R. Now we have seen in case of vectors how we can create a empty vector. So similarly you can create the list. Okay, and this time also you have to use the same function. Okay, so I am creating a blank list here, or maybe a empty list you can create. You can do it using the function vector. Now the first parameter that you will pass is the actually the mode, and here you have to say it as a list, and then the next parameter is the size. So what is the length or the size of your list you want? So I want three objects, and if I hit enter, okay, you can see a new list is created with three objects, but they don't have anything in it. Okay, so that is how you can create a list. Okay, a empty list and a normal list, how we can create. So now next topic is a named list. Okay, so we have seen how we can create a vectors with different names. Similarly, you can create a list, and the steps are nearly same. So you can see here I created the first list. Okay, and then as in a vector. Okay, you can refer this by the key and then the value. Okay, and then if you are not doing in that way, let's say you have already defined your list, and then you can still use the names function. Okay, and then pass on the list the name. Okay, now here is a basic difference that I wanted to show you. Okay, so now we have our list L. Okay, so if I just try to print it out. Okay, now you see here the list is shown with this double bracket. Okay, So that is actually the index of the item, okay, but then it is shown in a double bracket. That is a basic difference that you should understand when uh, when you compare a list with a vector or a matrix. Okay, so see here, all this index is shown in a double brackets. Okay, and then let's convert this list, which has six objects, and then the blank list where we don't have any objects. So let's convert this L, and I will just try to give a names. So names L, and then you have to pass on the vectors with different values. So it is a num1, num2, name, uh, maybe this is uh, maybe is it a text, or you can give any names. Okay, so let's say the marks and some value. So I'm just passing up six different uh, uh, the names, okay, to this list, and we are passing this in a names function as we have seen in a vector. So let's see here, the same output is shown, but now this double bracket, okay, the index is replaced by the value of the object, and now you can see there something additional character, that is the dollar that is in front of it. Okay, that indicates that the first object, okay, that is actually separating this namespace. So that's how you can give a name for already existing list. And let's try to create another list. Okay, and in this case, let's give it some while creating itself, I'm just giving the value. So the first, this is the name of the first object. Okay, that will go. And now I am defining the second object. So maybe say marks, and now here I pass on the some values. Okay, and now if I just print this, okay, you can see the names are printed. Okay, the first and the marks, and then with the values. So this is how you can create a named list. Okay, now we will go to the another interesting topic, that's the how subsetting a list. Okay, how to retrieve the values in a list and so on. Let me clear out my screen first. So you remember, you can just press Ctrl L and the screen will be cleared. Now let's use uh, the 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 list L. Okay, now you can see here it has uh, different objects, and now to defer a particular object from this list. Okay, so if I wanted to see the marks of a person, okay, so I can just say L, and then you can use the dollar, okay, sign, and then you can put whatever the object that you want to refer. So if I say L text, it's returning whatever the values is there. Okay, so that makes much easier in case of named vector to retrieve a value. Okay, and let's see what are the marks. Okay, and it's now returning this list altogether. Now same thing I can do it, okay, using this double bracket. So it was a marks was a fifth element. So if I just pass on the 5, and it will still return me the fifth object, okay, inside the list. Now how about this, that in this particular list, you wanted to access the uh, this vector, okay, marks vector, and then I want the second object, okay, from this vector. Now it's pretty simple, okay. The same way, first you have to get the object out of the list, okay, and then you have to take the particular value. So to grab this marks, okay, I have to use L, and then I will use this double bracket if it is not a named vector, normal, sorry, named list. Okay, if it is a normal list, you have to use the index. So I am using the fifth index, so that will return me the vector. And now I want a second object. Now you remember, to get the value in a vector, we just need to pass the vector index. And now if I press enter, you can see here I am getting the second value, okay. So if you see here, this is the fifth, is the marks, and then the second value of the this vector has been returned. Now it is very easy, okay, if you are using a name vector. So if I say L marks, and then maybe second, okay, it will return me the second object, similar to the earlier what we have seen. So you have seen the different ways how you can subset a list, get the value, okay. If you don't if you pass on the index number, it will return with the complete object, okay. And you can even subset it further using the normal way of subsetting. Now, before we close on this list, okay, one of the important thing that I wanted to explain you is that even if you are trying to create a vector which contains a list inside, okay, the output would be always type of list. So you remember, in case of vectors we have talked, okay, all the vectors are try to become a um, to the base object. So here you can see, even though the 12 and 3 is a integers, okay, and 2 3 4 is even an integer, but this complete object is a list, and that's the reason this vector is automatically get converted into a list. So it's little important concept. So just try to uh, revise this vectors, matrix, and the list, okay, uh, before we jump to the next topic. If you have any comments or any suggestions, please drop comments below, okay, and I will try to answer if you have any questions in the same list, same comments box. Thank you, everyone.